The chronic stress and isolation of modern life is rooted in a physiological glitch in our cellular hardware. While we often treat loneliness as a failure of psychological willpower, the root of the problem is biochemical. Dr. Robert Lustig identifies this as the hostage brain. When stress becomes chronic, cortisol floods the system, allowing the amygdala, the brain's fear center, to hijack your mind and keep you in a state of constant defensive alert. This cellular visualization shows exactly how that hijack happens. Systemic inflammation physically blocks your oxytocin receptors, the chemical required to bond and feel safe. When these receptors are jammed, you lose the ability to connect. As damage spreads, it depletes gut serotonin. When this pathway fades, your internal sense of peace disappears. If your brain is inflamed, you lack the physical hardware required to experience love. Contentment becomes a biological impossibility. To solve this, we have to look at what is driving this mass inflammation. The source of this inflammation is the modern grocery store. Over decades, ultra-processed food transformed from a mid-century convenience into a primary diet staple. Today, 73% of items in the American grocery store contain added sugar, hidden behind 262 different names. This saturates our diet with molecules that change how our bodies process fuel at the most basic level. Inside your cells, mitochondria act as energy factories, turning food into a chemical energy currency called ATP. When sugar floods the system, it disrupts these factories, stalling energy conversion. This energy deficit in brain cells triggers brain fog, irritability, and depression. As starved cells fail, they trigger a red wave of inflammation, spreading damage to adjacent neurons. By starving the brain of the energy required for social connection, ultra-processed food functions as a neurotoxin. We are not just eating poor quality fuel. We are consuming substances that disable our ability to function. The standard response to metabolic damage is to double down on exercise. There is a deeply ingrained belief that any toxic dietary choice can simply be neutralized on a treadmill. This belief is based on the calorie is a calorie myth, measured by a bomb calorimeter. This machine calculates energy by incinerating food and recording the heat it produces. It is a measurement of thermal physics, not biological processing. Human cells do not run on thermal heat. They run on chemical ATP. Fructose actively inhibits your mitochondria's ability to generate that specific energy, regardless of how much heat a machine says the food contains. While exercise builds vital muscle and increases mitochondrial reserves, it is biologically incapable of undoing the specific metabolic damage caused by these sugars. No amount of movement can fix a factory that has been chemically shut down. Treating the human body as a simple calorie equation is a corporate tool to keep populations consuming sugar while blaming themselves for the fallout. For many, the logical alternative is zero-calorie artificial sweeteners. If sugar is the toxin, then diet sodas must be the solution. But look at the cellular response to sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose. They generate massive amounts of reactive oxygen species, or ROS. These act as toxic cellular exhaust fumes that damage everything they touch. When antioxidants fail to clear these fumes, ROS particles solidify into rigid plaques that suffocate healthy neurons, resulting in widespread cell death. This process is the mechanical foundation of dementia. Research indicates that 95% of Alzheimer's risk is environmental, linked directly to this dietary toxicity rather than genetics. Trading sugar for artificial sweeteners accelerates the destruction of our long-term cognitive health. We are trading one pathway of decline for another. Reclaiming biological control starts with the metabolic matrix, a framework developed by Dr. Lustig to organize our dietary choices around health rather than cravings. The matrix establishes 3 rules for any food you eat. It must protect the liver, it must feed the gut, and it must support the brain. Anything failing these criteria is functionally a poison. Practical changes can start at the grocery store. Treat every nutrition label as a warning sign. If sugar is listed in the top 3 ingredients, classify that food as dessert, and avoid shopping hungry to prevent your amygdala from taking over. This diagram shows the specific biological reason to eat fruit whole. Real fruit contains a fiber lattice that acts as a protective net in your gut. Blending shreds that lattice into smithereens, allowing sugar to flood your bloodstream as if it were juice. Eliminating ultra-processed foods restores mitochondrial function and ATP levels. This shift repairs the physiological hardware required for empathy, connection, and human love.